What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Wednesday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt. And we're back after a winning night in college basketball, amazingly enough. We would have swept it if it wasn't for the team that I like the most in the Creighton Blue Jays. They won by 20 over Providence. So much for that 9 points or less trend for Providence. But Ole Miss gets the win outright over Alabama. Huge win for Ole Miss. They're now 7-1 on the road ATS in college basketball, and they've now won 4 games outright as dogs on the road this year. Keep them in mind. Chris Beard's club is playing really, really well. Illinois destroys Indiana. That was a laugher. We get both those games right. As I mentioned, Providence doesn't cover, so it's a 2-1 day, up 0.9 units. So we are now up for the week on a Wednesday. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to bet 3 college basketball games again because tomorrow's Thursday. And on Thursday, Terrell Furman and I have our college basketball live stream at 5:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Pacific for the college games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We'll talk about the matchups and college basketball futures and all the things happening in the world of college basketball. We'll do that on Thursday afternoon. So tomorrow's podcast won't have any college basketball because I'll have a couple of games I'll give you on the live stream. So Thursday will strictly be NBA and hockey and maybe something else or two, depending on what I like, for maybe our first NFL bet. I don't know. So for tomorrow's podcast on Thursday. So for today, let's dip back in with college basketball with 3 bets for you guys here. For 3 games happening tonight in the world of college basketball. There are some big games on the schedule. Big games last night, big game tonight, including Kansas and Iowa State. More on that game here in just 1 second. But Bet365 has a special offer for Daily Juice listeners, and they wanted me, or viewers, and they wanted me to tell you guys about it. You can turn $5 into $150 of bonus bets when you join Bet365. To claim the offer, just go to bettingpros.com/365 and deposit at least $10. If you place a bet of at least $5, you will earn $150 in bonus bets. Again, that's bettingpros.com/365. 21 plus only, must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, or Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF if you live in Iowa. Terms and conditions do apply. Again, bettingpros.com/365. All right, let's start talking here about what will happen with Kansas and Iowa State. Hilton Magic, baby. Number opened up at 6.5. It's been immediately bet down to 5.5. At once it hit under 6 points, I'm on the Cyclones. Why? Well, Iowa State's got the best defense, and they might be the best team in the country. But bottom line, Iowa State might be the best team in the country. Not best player. Best player is Cooper Flagg. But best team, it very well might be TJ Otzelberger's team. Iowa's 10th in defensive efficiency. They are 6th in offensive efficiency. They're 53rd in defensive effective field goal percentage. They're 26th in offensive effective field goal percentage. They are very good on defense. They're 45th in 2-point defense. They're 14th in 2-point offense. They are effective. They get to the rim. They're not the best 3-point shooting team, but they're not horrible. 115th in the country in 3-point shooting. Defensively, about the same. 113th in 3-point defense. They're good enough hitting free throws. Their opponent tends to hit a lot of free throws when they get sent to the line, hitting about 75% of the time, which is not really something you can defend. But Iowa State's defense, they make you really work. 18.6 seconds average possession length. That's 341st. That's a good number. It means you work. It's hard to score on Iowa State. Kansas wants to play fast, but I don't really like Kansas. I haven't liked Kansas all year. I didn't like Kansas when they played against Creighton. I think Hunter Dickinson is sort of an enigma. I think their guard play is somewhat suspect. I'm not the biggest of Bill Self fans, and I'm telling you right now, when Iowa State fans see KU coming, they see red. I mean, they just hate Kansas. This is the biggest game of the year every year. It's the hardest ticket to get every single home year, unless it's Iowa going to Hilton Coliseum. This is the game everybody circles. This is the game that everybody wants to be at, and the atmosphere is going to be really, really hard. KenPom has this as a 6-point win. We're going to lay 5.5. Iowa State minus 5.5 here at home tonight up against Kansas. Iowa State minus 5.5 for 1.1 units. Bet number 2 for us here on the night. Let's talk about Georgia and Tennessee. KenPom has this as an 11-point win for Tennessee. The line's 11. Right on the number. Here's the thing. Georgia is 5-0 to the under away from home this year. Tennessee is 5-4 to the over, but they're 2-1 to the under in SEC play. Georgia is 3-0 to the under in SEC play. Last 3 games, Ole Miss on the road, Kentucky at home, Oklahoma at home for Georgia, went under by 32.5 points, 2.5 points, and 12.5 points. The last 2 home games against Arkansas and Norfolk State for Tennessee have gone under by 15.5 and under by 21.5. On the road against Florida, the game went under by 36.5 points. It was 152.5. Then it was 138.5 against Texas, and the game went over. This number is 135 for tonight, and KenPom has this as a really low-scoring game. 129 is what KenPom has this at. I just think when you look at the numbers and how slow these teams play and how slow Tennessee plays, I mean, on offense, Tennessee is 217th for average possession length on offense. Georgia on offense is 183rd for average possession. Tennessee defense, 349th. It's one of the hardest teams. They make you work just like Iowa State. Tennessee makes you work so hard. Georgia's a little bit different, 17.1. That's 110th. But Georgia's effective field goal percentage defensively is 12th. 3-point defense is 9th. 2-point defense is 31st. Effective field goal percentage is 12th. Offensive efficiency is 16th. I mean, Georgia is really good defensively. And on the road, you got to play defense. I don't mind Georgia plus the points. I don't mind that. But I think the easier play is just to ride the trend with Georgia. Let's go under. Under 135. Georgia and Tennessee. Under 135 for 1.1 units. And finally, let's go out west here to Vegas, to UNLV, where Utah State is nationally ranked and they are on the road at the Running Rebels. It's a midweek game at Thomas and Mack. I mean, this is not going to be a well-attended game. There's not going to be many people there. It's an 11 o'clock Eastern time start, so it's a late night start, but it's a get-right game for some of you guys on the West Coast if you want to take a look at it. Here's the thing about UNLV. They're not very good. It stinks because I want UNLV to be good, and I want Lon Kruger to be successful. I work for UNLV. I would love to see it, but they've lost back-to-back games badly on the road to Boise State and Colorado State. They lost 81-59 to Boise State. They lost 84-62 to Colorado State. At home this year, they lost to Memphis 80-74. They've won every other game at home, but not tonight. Utah State's coming in. It's a 5-point win according to KenPom. The number is 4.5, so it's right there. Utah State is 4-3 ATS on the road, but they've lost the last 3 games against the number, but they've won them all. They've won 6 straight games. They just haven't covered their last 3 in conference against Boise, San Jose State, and Fresno State. UNLV lost by 22 to Boise State. Utah State beat Boise State in their last game by 2, laying 5.5, but they won the game by 2. Fresno State, UNLV beat them by 10. Fresno State was they're laying 24 against Fresno State. They only won by 6, so that's not really a great trend for UNLV, for Utah State. But I just think it's time for Utah State to go in there and just coming back off of back-to-back 22-point losses for UNLV. I know you say they're at home and they'll bounce back maybe in the first half, But I think Utah State's the better basketball team. I think Utah State will win and cover the 4.5 points. And again, there's not much of a home atmosphere. Utah State will have a bunch of fans. When Utah State plays down here, they'll bring a lot of fans down. They'll be supportive. They like what their team is doing. They're going to support. They think they got something special cooking here. They're a top 50 team here. They're 16-1 on the year. Only loss was to UC San Diego at home, 75-73. They've run through everybody. I mean, Utah State has beaten a Big Ten team in Iowa. They beat San Diego State. They beat St. Mary's. I mean, they beat Boise. I mean, these are all top 50 wins that they've got on their resume at the moment. 16-1. They're coming to Vegas. They're getting a W. I don't trust Lon Kruger's team. I'll lay the 4.5. Utah State minus 4.5. All right. So our plays for today, all in college basketball. Iowa State at home against Kansas. We'll lay the 5.5 with the Cyclones for 1.1 units. Georgia, Tennessee, we're going under 135 for 1.1 units. And Utah State on the road against UNLV. We'll lay the 4.5 points with Utah State on the road in Mountain West Conference basketball. Utah State minus 4.5 for 1.1 units. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt every single morning, wherever you guys get your podcasts. It is the Daily Juice.